Well, I never. I was trying to finish my research on psychological warfare because I believe that is what is happening with the COVID-19 virus scam. It was a massive shock to discover that there is a patent. Well, there are 657 results found when I searched for psychological warfare in the European Patent Office database. This is from China, and it was published on the 28th of the 4th this year, and it's a patent relating to the creation of a cloud bomb. Yes, the word psychological deterrence is underlined, well, psychological is, and it's about creating a cloud which can detonate, and in particular this patent is trying to work out the scatter distance of the explosion. They've got primary cloud explosion, they call it detonation, and secondary cloud detonation. Won't read it all. If you type in psychological warfare in the EPO, it will return third under priority date. And a patent to go hand in hand with that lovely cloud bomb is the secondary detonation fuel air explosive projectile warhead. That's the short version. And it says, compared with other rockets, cloud bombs have the characteristics of high energy utilization, large killing area, and huge psychological deterrence. Nice, eh? So for anyone who still doubts the Chinese biological warfare program, doubt no more. It's here in black and white. The use of secondary detonation can significantly improve the warhead power and under the same charge condition and effectively improve the combat effectiveness of weapon systems. Then it carries on to the details of how it works, separating the umbrella head, same search terms if you want to go and have a look at it on the EPO. The next one is a mass vaccination device for humans. It's not new, it came out on the 22nd of September 2016, and it's not as bad as it sounds. Doesn't mean mass as in delivering the vaccine all at once. It means it can do many people in a short space of time. So it has a replaceable needle, and on the screen above is what it looks like. This patent was applied for back in April when social distancing really wasn't that big of a thing. I don't remember it having been that big. But it's from Canada, this patent, and it's called a social distancing personal warning device, and it's exactly that. It's a wearable device that vibrates or changes colour, so LED light that changes colour when you get too close to somebody else, and it says specifically in the workplace. So it just gets more and more depressing, the amount of things I'm finding. This patent worries me a bit. It was published on the 23rd of June this year, and it's called an adaptive and interchangeable neural networks. The search terms I used was population control, US defence. I just thought I'd try it on the off chance to see what it brought up. And this is what it brought up. It's basically a patent about neural network that controls a machine. Now throughout this patent, there's quite a few pages, it keeps talking about controlling the machine. I've read lots of patents, and when they're talking about a new invention, they're usually quite specific. So I expect to see somewhere along the lines of controlling the driverless car or something like that. But nowhere is it specified what the machine could be. So that started to get me wondering. I'd searched for population control and this had come up. So I thought, maybe it's connected to the vaccine. So I had a look to see how big the smallest chip, or I should say how small the smallest microchip is, and I was thinking, well, if I had a loop recorder in my chest, and they're not huge, but they're noticeable, you couldn't get them in in your skin without noticing. They're like the size of half a chewing gum. So, and I was quite surprised. This above is the smallest microchip. There's even something called RFID powder, which is square and 0.05 millimeters wide, which is not quite dust, but it's very tiny, and you could easily put it into a syringe. Now, I don't want to be fear-mongering. I'm just a bit, it's so ambiguous, this patent, just saying controlling the machine, that's what it got me wondering about. Is it to control us? It's a US patent, and it's methods and system for collaborative local positioning. In short, I'll read you it out. Described herein are collaborative local positioning techniques, such as could be used with smartphones, surveying equipment, or other mobile devices. The techniques include independent techniques for distance measurement between devices, a relative positioning of devices, and an absolute orienting of the devices without use of fixed anchor points, and through on-wheel participation of the devices to provide privacy. Distances between devices are determined by use of sequence of positioning signals, such as magnetic signal, each of which includes an identifier of the transmitting device, an amplitude of the signal as transmitted, and the position of the signal within the sequence. The amplitude of the positioning signal as received can be compared to the amplitude as transmitted to obtain a distance. So it's just measuring the distance between devices. Now, before the COVID thing, why would we have needed that? Because mobiles and everything that has got internet connection will transmit to a receiver. So why would you need to go from mobile to see the distance you are from someone else? Doesn't make any sense unless this was forward thinking, as it were. Fog. We don't get much of it in Britain anymore, but I do remember my mum talking about the right pea super when she was a child in London. This is a patent for artificial fog photoelectric cloaking device, and it was published on the 22nd of May this year. And this is exactly what it says. It's an artificial fog maker. Won't read it all as usual, but here's a little bit of info on it. It says, in high-tech warfare, it is used for target recognition and weapon guidance of detection systems such as infrared and radar. It will have a great interference effect, and at the same time, foggy weather has become a reliable natural disguise against information warfare. However, natural fog is limited by time, location, and meteorological conditions, and has great limitations. It requires the ability to know astronomy from the top and geography from the bottom. Therefore, an artificial fog photoelectric stealth device has become an urgent technical problem for the entire society. And then it goes on to describe it in detail. Once again, it's under psychological warfare in the EPO and returns second under priority date. This will be the last patent for today. This one's from Australia, and I actually think it's the worst one. System and method for vaccine administration verification. It's not so much the main body, it's one sentence that bothers me, and it's this one. Given the current COVID-19 pandemic and future such pandemics, it will become a requirement to demonstrate that individuals have been vaccinated so as to have achieved immunity. So it looks like us lot who were called conspiracy theorists were actually bang on the money.